It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine, Rugged Point Lodge on Vancouver Island, and Northwest Fishing Guides out of our hometown here in Everett. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
This week on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, the Big Buoy 10 salmon fishery starts August 1st at the mouth of the Columbia, and Jim Stahl with Northwest Fishing Guides fills you in on where you might or might not find a room or camp spot in the area. We've got a Vancouver Island fishing report from Matt Gaget at Rugged Point Lodge, and guide Bruce Warren with Fishing for Fun Guide Service will introduce you to the concept of hover fishing for salmon. But first, here's what's hot this week in the Northwest. The limit for kings has increased to 2 salmon off of Westport, but according to the Westport Charter Association, fishing in the latter part of July has been tough, with anglers averaging 1 Chinook for every 2 anglers. On the bright side, the rockfish and lingcod are biting very well. Sockeye fishing has been very good at Lake Wenatchee, west of Leavenworth, and decent but not spectacular for anglers trolling for these tasty fish in Baker Lake. Limits have been the norm for Lake Wenatchee anglers, and the size of the fish has been good too, but at Baker Lake, according to a report in the Everett Herald, anglers are averaging about 2.5 fish per rod. Are you riled up about the Skokomish tribe shutting down access to salmon anglers on the Skokomish River? If you are, you may want to be at the George Adams Hatchery today at 1 p.m. and join what will likely be several hundred anglers at a rally protesting the tribe's decision to shut down this popular bank fishery to everyone but tribal members. The worst part about this, the fish are released from and returned to a Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife hatchery, but you, if you're not a tribal member, you don't get to fish for them. This is one of the best bank angling opportunities in the Puget Sound area, and as it stands right now, we've lost it. If you go, park at Hunter's Farm near Union by 12:15 p.m. and catch a shuttle to the rally site, where local anglers and representatives from the Coastal Conservation Association, Puget Sound Anglers, and the Steelhead Trout Club of Washington will be speaking. Next up, it's time to talk to Jim Stahl again with Northwest Fishing Guides. Jim, the Buoy 10 salmon fishery. It's finally here. It's opening up August 1st. Let's break down what people need to know for the opener here. And the first thing I think people need to know is there anywhere to stay, even close to Astoria? This is a really popular fishery.
Right now, I'd say probably pretty much good luck. Start trying Expedia and any hotels or motels you can find. We've got a couple people that have had to stay up as far as Long Beach and as far south as Seaside, and that's some people that have been trying for months. So it's just try to pick your spot and make a phone call, and hopefully they can send you in the right direction.
What about the campgrounds? You got Fort Stevens State Park, you've got Cape Disappointment State Park. Are those an option, or are those full too?
Most of those are full. There's also a KOA on the Washington side, not far from Chinook. There's a KOA in Hammond. There's a Campers West. There's quite a few options for camping, but it's going to have to just, if you get a last-minute opening, you're going to have to call and say, give us a heads up. But most of it, especially the state parks, usually book almost 9 months in advance.
Well, as you can see, finding a place to stay close to Astoria or Ilwaco might be a little bit of a challenge, but don't give up on this fishery. There is hope. And if you want to find out about fishing with a great guide down there, again, he's pretty full, but you might be able to slide into a cancellation. Check out nwfishingguides.net. That's Jim Stahl. He's a great guide, fishes with his wife, Jen. They're both from Everett, Washington. They've been doing this a long time. Their website again, nwfishingguides.net.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Want a trip with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon. That's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
I don't know about you, but one thing I love to do every summer is lace up my hiking boots and get my fishing pole and head to some of those alpine lakes. Whether you live in the Cascades or the Rockies or the Sierra Nevadas, this is just an absolute treat. Number one, you're going to enjoy some great scenery. You're going to get some good exercise. And when you get to the lake, you'll find that most hikers, they don't generally fish. That means you've got some good opportunities to catch all sorts of different species of trout. There's brook trout, there's cutthroat, there's rainbows, and if you really work for them, you might even find golden trout in some of those alpine lakes. And again, it's usually pretty lightly pressured. And even though they can be finicky based on the weather, when it's good, the fishing can be really good. Spinning rods are best. If you want to use a fly, I'd recommend using a casting bubble. The reason why is that a lot of times you got to get some distance to get out there in the deeper water where these fish are, and it's tough to do with a fly rod unless you've hiked up with a float tube or something like that. Personally, I like to cast hardware. You'll find me casting, Blue Fox or Mepps spinners. I'm very partial to Max Lure Promise Keeper spinners because they have a very thin profile, perfect weight, and their smile blade that's on those spinners spins at very slow speed. So that's actually one of my go-to lures. Other lures that work well, small crocodile spoons, and for whatever reason, the Acme Castmaster is just a go-to for trout anglers at alpine lakes. It works. Try either a blue and chrome or maybe a orange and gold or orange and chrome lure, and you'll probably get into some fish. As for where to fish when it comes to alpine lakes, well, usually the worst place to fish is the first place you come to off the trail, because if there is pressure, that's where it's going to be. Again, try to find places where there's drop-offs into deeper water. Another sure bet is the inlet creek and the outlet creek. Both of those attract some of the food that the trout are after, and therefore attract the trout as well. I do recommend catch and release unless you're camping and want a couple for dinner. I can tell you from personal experience that trout meat generally doesn't hold up too well after you hike a few miles along the trail. If you're looking for some ideas on where to go, check out the Montana Wilderness Association Hiking Guide. The website for that one is montanawild.org, or the Washington Trails Association Hiking Guide at WTA.org for some ideas on where to go hike and fish this summer. This week on the show, there are a couple of salmon derbies coming up in the Northwest to tell you about. One of them is the Brewster Salmon Derby in North Central Washington, and Randy Cole, the president of the committee, putting this event together for the 11th time. We'll tell you about your chance to win some of the $20,000 in cash and prizes they are giving away this August. By the way, you'll want to register for this derby right away because ticket sales shut down Sunday night the 31st. We'll go from salmon to ducks when we talk to Ron Spada later this hour. Ron's the president of the Sauvie Island Duck Club, located just a few miles outside of Portland. He's going to give all of you duck hunters some tips on things you ought to be doing this summer before the season begins. He'll also tell you about his duck club and explain why joining a duck club, his or any other one, might be a lot more fun than hunting on public land and going it alone. On the outdoors news front, I can tell you it's a crummy time to be categorized as livestock, especially if you don't want to be eaten by wolves or grizzly bears. There's been quite a bit of that going around, and we'll tell you where it's happening. We've got a different kind of group walking our trail of shame this week, and Kelly Hawley with Tom and Jerry's Boat Center out of Mount Vernon, Washington, joins us to give you some advice about buying your first saltwater boat. How big should it be? Aluminum versus fiberglass, one engine or two, options you'll want to have. Kelly's got all the answers. But first, we need to educate you about something, and we also need your help. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we're going to tell you about a troubling practice called fire borrowing. It's affecting your national forest. It's affecting the way that fires are fought across the West. With us here to tell us more about it is Erin O'Connor. She is the communications director for the U.S. Forest Service in Washington, D.C., but she's also a former Washington State University Cougar with strong ties to the West. Welcome to the show, Erin.
John, thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Fire borrowing, what is it and why is this a problem?
So the Forest Service pays for fire suppression activities solely out of the appropriations given to us by Congress. And we are finding that with increased fires across the country, with fire seasons 78 days longer today than they were in the 1970s, with more acres that are burning, we have a larger percentage of the agency's budget is going to suppress wildfires. So we have decreased abilities to manage the other portions of the Forest Service's work.
So let's go ahead and break this down a little bit further. And we talked about this earlier before we went on the microphone here. You know, back in the 1970s, about 16% of the Forest Service budget was allocated for firefighting efforts. And now, here we are after 2 horrific years of forest fires. Last year, over 10 million acres burned in the West. 52% of your budget went just to fire suppression efforts.
That's correct. In 2015, over 50% of the agency's budget was used to suppress wildfires. One of the things that happens, in addition to a larger percentage of the agency's budget going towards fire suppression activities, when we run out of those funds that Congress has appropriated for us, we must then borrow or transfer monies from other accounts that go for such things as wildlife habitat improvement projects, that go for things like cleaning trails and maintaining roads, and that go for other projects like maintaining campgrounds and recreation areas that people so enjoy their national forests.
So it would be fair to say, and a lot of people harp on federal lands management as it's inefficient, it's not being done well, but it's really a matter of dollars. You're having to take those dollars that open up campgrounds, that keep trailheads open and trails maintained, that fixes the washed out roads. All that money is being borrowed to go ahead and use for fighting fires.
That's absolutely right. And it's not to say that we can't be more efficient, and we absolutely look for ways to better spend, better operate, better manage the nation's national forests and grasslands. There's only so much money to go around, and when that portion of the dollars that we have is increasingly going to fire suppression activities, there isn't just as much to go to the other programs in the agency.
This is a weird situation because if there's a natural disaster like a hurricane or a tornado or, heaven forbid, a volcano blowing up like we had in Mount St. Helens, all this money is appropriated by Congress and FEMA comes in and that's all taken care of. But when it comes to wildfires, which are just as devastating, that doesn't happen. It all comes out of your budget.
That's right. Wildfire is the only natural occurrence that gets paid for exclusively out of an agency's budget, and we do not receive emergency appropriations.
Now, I know that Washington State Senator Maria Cantwell has sponsored some legislation that apparently didn't go anywhere this session, trying to fix this and basically appropriate money for this purpose so you're not having to borrow it from other funds. Is that the only way we're going to fix this, is a legislative fix?
We have asked, this administration has for the 3 years now said that we do need a legislative fix and has asked Congress to help us with that.
And that brings us back to our listeners. What can they do to help not only you, but to help themselves and have more access and recreate in our national forests?
Well, we know that people love their national forests, love to get out and enjoy all that the national forests have to offer.
You know what? I know you can't. You're not even allowed to say this, so I'm going to say it for you, folks. Contact your congressman, contact your senator, contact your representative. Let them know that this is a priority. Again, Erin can't say this because she's a government employee, but I certainly can. And as you all know, I'm very passionate about accessing our public lands. I know if you're listening to the show, you are too. The only way this is going to get fixed is if our do-nothing Congress does something about this. So, Erin, I'm taking you off the hook there. I'm saying it myself, but I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention on America Outdoors Radio.
John, I really do appreciate spending this time with you. Thank you.
For those of you that use binoculars or cameras, you have got to try this ultralight harness by Rick Young Outdoors. Made in the USA, it can be worn in 5 positions, yet it only weighs 1 ounce. The crazy fast single-point adjustment means your optics hang on your chest, not your belt line. The bulky white straps are gone as well as tangled mess. The hardware allows you to disconnect your optics at a push of a button. For all the features, visit rickyoungoutdoors.com. That's rickyoungoutdoors.com.
It's time for summer, and you need to be ready. So stop in at any Oxark store to find all of the summer supplies you need for your yard, home, farm, or business. Oxark has gloves, first aid kits, safety glasses, and even a full line of industrial tools. And don't forget, it's time for Gatorade and Igloo coolers. So this summer, be ready and stop by any Oxark or shop online at oxark.com.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Aluma craft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience in the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. You'll be back at port by 5 p.m. on a 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are here now, and this is shaping up to be a record summer, so call Captain Carey now at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973 for Offshore Northwest. Blue Moon Fishing Adventures has the experience and knowledge to take you where the fish are biting the best. Blue Moon Fishing Adventures offers freshwater trips for salmon, steelhead, and oversized sturgeon. And with their 33-foot offshore boat, they can chase tuna, halibut, lingcod, salmon, and bottom fish. Whether you're an experienced fisherman or a novice, Blue Moon Fishing Adventures will do their very best to see that you have a great time fishing. Give them a call at 360-521-0273. That's 360-521-0273.
Are you ready for an adventure? No, not the kind where you're rappelling off cliffs and canoeing down waterfalls. The kind where you sleep in a cushy bed, open the door with a hot cup of coffee, and set out to do some fishing or hiking. The low-stress kind of adventure we offer at Northwest Adventure Rentals. We're a family-owned business that will start you on your way in one of our luxury motorhomes and travel trailers. We'll even do the packing for you. Just grab your food and clothes and set off for your next adventure. Oh yeah, don't forget your fishing pole. Look us up at NWAdventureRentals.com.
Row, row, row your boat, can't get up the stream. Fill your boat and motor needs a King Salmon Marine.
Are you ready for summertime fun? Have you been thinking about a new or used boat and motor? King Salmon Marine will fill all your boat and motor needs.
Row, row, row your boat to look for something new. 253-830-2962. Yay!
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It is derby season for salmon anglers throughout the Northwest, and one we've got to tell you about is the 11th annual Brewster Salmon Derby, taking place on the Upper Columbia River August 5th, 6th, and 7th. And if you haven't bought tickets yet, you better hurry, because you have to buy them by July 31st. With us here to tell us more about this great event is Randy Cole. He's the president of the Brewster Salmon Derby Committee. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Let's go ahead and kind of set the plate, as it were. How has the Chinook fishing been so far this summer in the Brewster Pool?
Well, surprisingly, the fishing's been fairly good. In fact, I was out yesterday, and we fished until 10 o'clock, and we hooked 5 Chinook and landed 2, and they both happened to be hatchery fish. And there's not many people fishing right now like we're used to because the sockeye run has gone up the river so fast that we don't have the usual 100 boats out there. I was out yesterday, like I said, and there was only about 20 boats in the pool.
Okay, this is very good news. The salmon you caught, how big were they?
They were, 10 to 12 pounds.
Nothing wrong with that?
But we have caught fish up to 25 this season, which were wild fish that had to be released.
Sure.
I've seen some big fish caught and kept.
Okay, this bodes very well for the upcoming Derby. Let's talk about how you're catching them. I don't want to give away all your secrets, but what's the go-to method for catching Chinook salmon out of the Brewster Pool?
With most anglers, it's the typical flasher back to the Brad's cut plug super baits in hot lava or the bright red ones or the Seahawk ones. Or it's a variety of colors. It seems to change, so we'll generally rotate 4 or 5, 6 different colors throughout the morning to see what they want that particular day. And then we fish anywhere. We start fairly shallow early in the morning and then work our way down and settle in. Right now it's been about 35 feet. But later on in the day you can drop down to as deep as 40, 45.
Well, there you go, folks. There's a quick primer on how to catch Chinook out of the Brewster Pool on the Upper Columbia River. Let's talk about last year's Salmon Derby. How many people participated? How many boats were on the water? And how many salmon were weighed in?
Last year we sold out, which was 275 anglers. And it's hard to tell exactly how many Derby boats there were, but with everybody mixed in and the sockeye were closed last year, so we probably had no more than, I would guess, 80 boats on the water.
And I understand there was, 128 salmon that were actually weighed in last year for the Derby?
Yeah, that's correct. And our largest fish was 19.68, and that took what we call the king of the pool. We have 3 categories for anglers. We have adults, which is 15 and older, and then we have youth, which is 9 to 14, and then we have a child 8 and under. The adult class was won at 19.06, the youth was 14.70, and the kids were 9.94. And then the biggest fish, like I said, was what we call king of the pool, and all categories are eligible to be king of the pool. And that's our grand prize.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Randy Cole about the 11th Annual Brewster Salmon Derby. It's taking place August 5th, 6th, and 7th. If you want to participate, you can, but you have to hurry because ticket sales end Sunday, July 31st. So let's go ahead and talk about the prizes themselves here. I understand you're giving away over $20,000 in cash and prizes as part of this, but let's stick to the big ones. The king of the pool, the biggest fish caught. How much is that worth?
King of the pool is $2,000.
Nice.
The adult category is $1,500, and it pays down to 10th place. And the youth starts at $750 and pays down to 10th place. And then the child 8 and under pays the first 5 spots. We also, on our adult class, from 11th place to 25th, they all go on the leaderboard, and we have prize bags for those placements.
Nice.
And then we have raffles and drawings with all kinds of things, fishing rods, electronics. We really try to get the everybody involved. We give away a ton of tackle that's been donated by the fishing industry, and it's a lot of fun for everybody. We have some side pots where you can buy in and split the pot with the Derby, and it's for individual total weight each day. There's team total weight for the Derby. There's a sockeye side pot. We also pay out on a mystery fish weigh. So, and for the first time this year, we're going to have a kids only sockeye Derby within the Derby, which should be fun for anyone 14 and under.
Oh, that sounds like a blast. Now, you mentioned a lot of the sockeye, though, have already gone up river. Are there still some sockeye to be caught in the pool?
Yes, we got 4 this morning. There are fish. The good thing right now is that all the fish are really bright because they're not holding in the pool, so everything we get is fresh coming over Wells Dam. And it's up and down, but it's certainly not like people are used to. The one good thing we've got coming is that next week we're supposed to reach 100 degrees and have a pretty good long hot spell, which could build the thermal barrier to the Okanagan, which would really improve our fishing.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that.
Okay, so it sounds like this could be just perfect then for the Derby. Let's talk about entry fees. What is the entry fee, and tell me about the side pot fees too.
Okay, the entry fee for the adult class is $50. For the youth, 9 to 14, it's $20, and any kids 8 and under are free. The kids do need to register though.
Sure.
When their parents or sign up.
The side pots, how does that work?
Oh, the side pots. Okay, the side pots went Thursday evening before the Derby starts on Friday. All fishermen need to come to the city park in Brewster. It will be set up there at Derby headquarters and get their packets that have all their stuff for the Derby. And at that time, you can buy into what we call side pots. So if you're an individual fisherman and you want to enter the side pot for individual total weight, you pay a $5 entry fee, and then each day, the guy with the most weight for a maximum of 2 king salmon only weighed wins 75% of the pot for that day.
Nice.
And we have another pot you can sign up as a team, either 2, 3, or 4 guys in a boat, or if you have 4 guys in a boat, 2 guys could be each on a separate team, and their total weight for the day pays out the same at 75% of the total. And then we have a total weight side pot for individuals for the Derby. You pay $10 for that one. And then the sockeye side pot is you pay in $5. You're allowed to weigh 1 sockeye a day, and that pays out. And then we have what I said, the mystery fish weight, which we just pull a number randomly, and whoever's closest to that wins a cash prize for that.
All right. Well, this sounds fantastic. Number 1, low entry fees. Number 2, it looks like we're going to have really good fishing. And number 3, with all the prices you're talking about, it looks like just about everybody walks out of there a winner of some sort or another. Let's go ahead and give out the website so people can register before the evening of July 31st deadline.
Okay, it's BrewsterSalmonDerby.com. And then from there, you can go to Brown Paper Ticket and pay with a credit card, or you can pay through PayPal. It's all set up. It's very straightforward. Anybody has any questions, there's phone numbers on the website to call, and we'll walk you through it. Our goal is that everybody that participates enjoys it. Like you said, lots of people walk away with stuff, and we try to really cater to a family-oriented program, and we do this to help the local communities and to promote Upper Columbia salmon fishing.
Well, there you go, folks. It's the 11th Annual Brewster Salmon Derby taking place August 5th, 6th, and 7th in North Central Washington on the Upper Columbia River. Sign up now. Just go to BrewsterSalmonDerby.com. That's BrewsterSalmonDerby.com. Randy, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. I've enjoyed it, and have a great day.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Aluma craft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience in the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific, or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
Row, row, row your boat, can't get up the stream. Fill your boat and motor needs at King Salmon Marine.
Are you ready for summertime fun? Have you been thinking about a new or used boat and motor? King Salmon Marine will fill all your boat and motor needs.
Row, row, row your boat to look for something new. 253-830-2962. Yay!
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time to check in with Matt Gaget again. He is the owner of Rugged Point Lodge on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Gotta ask, how's the fishing been this week, Matt?
It's been really good. The fish are getting bigger, and it's been good onshore, 2 miles from the lodge on the beach, and then it's been really good offshore, so we have lots of options.
Let's go ahead and start with the nearshore opportunities. Just 2 miles from the lodge, what are you catching?
The Chinook corridor has been adjusted, and we have full limit 2 miles from the lodge at Spring Island. Afternoon, it was changeover day. We had all the boats had 2 to 6 Chinook over 20 pounds, and the biggest one was 31.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how about the coho? Have they made an appearance, and how is that run looking?
It doesn't look good. I've caught a handful this year. I can see why there's some restrictions on them, but when they do show up, we're allowed 2 hatchery a day and 2 wild a day in our area.
And I get the impression the halibut bite is always on where you're fishing.
Oh, it is, yeah. Depending on where you drop your anchor and all that. But, yeah, we always have halibut here. It's just a matter of putting your time in, and all our guests go home with their limited halibut.
Now, I know that there's size limits there, but just for the trophy part of it, what's the biggest halibut that your guides boated this week?
132.5 centimeters.
How much poundage-wise is that?
81 pounds.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a half a centimeter under the slot limit.
Wow. That is a halibut. All right, well, there you go, folks. There's your fishing report for this week from Rugged Point Lodge. Go to their website to find out more. It's ruggedpointlodge.com. That's ruggedpointlodge.com.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Are you ready for an adventure? No, not the kind where you're rappelling off cliffs and canoeing down waterfalls. The kind where you sleep in a cushy bed, open the door with a hot cup of coffee, and set out to do some fishing or hiking. The low-stress kind of adventure we offer at Northwest Adventure Rentals. We're a family-owned business that will start you on your way in one of our luxury motorhomes and travel trailers. We'll even do the packing for you. Just grab your food and clothes and set off for your next adventure. Oh yeah, don't forget your fishing pole. Look us up at nwadventurerentals.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication that covers the hunting and fishing scene in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. Waterfowl hunting season is coming up sooner than you think. October's not that far away. And with that in mind, we're talking to Ron Spada. He is the owner of the Sauvie Island Duck Club, located just a few miles out of Portland, Oregon. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Ron, let's go ahead and walk through some preseason preparations that you do and that you think might be helpful for other hunters before they get in the blind on opening day.
Well, right now they have a lot of specials on shotgun shells, and we shoot a lot of BBs in close and out far. You want to check all your online stores like Rogers and Cabela's and whatnot.
Sure.
And get your duck calls. You want to, if you have corks in those duck calls, you want to soak it. That always helps tighten up that reed. Put it in a couple of weeks before the season. And make sure your dogs have all their shot. Their feet aren't too soft. Get them out, run them. If you've got like a Springer like I do, you want to get them in a field cut so they're not picking up cockleburs and whatnot. Make sure the main thing on waterfowl hunting is that you have as much time off as possible, and your rig is usually four-wheel drive, I would think, and you've got the best tires, you've got everything greased up, and you've got antifreeze. You're not going anywhere. And if you've got a driveway that's down in a hole and you get a silver thaw, that's one of the biggest days that we have. The silver thaws are big snows, birds go crazy. You want to be there. So make sure your vehicle and your clothing, I mean, you can go right down the line. You need everything to be in tip-top shape at any time for waterfowl hunting. It looks like it's, not going to do what it usually does. And when it does, you watch the Weather Channel and makes history all over. We do here in the Portland area.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of the greatest places to hunt mallards, wood ducks, all kinds of puddle ducks, but mallards, woodies, and teal. On Sauvie's Island, those are the three big ones, I think.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Sauvie Island. I know this is a wildlife area and that people have public access to it, but I wasn't aware that your duck club was there as well, and you're on 300 acres. And for those people that are thinking, well, why would I pay money to go to a duck club on Sauvie Island when I can just go hunt the public land? What would you say to them?
Well, the people that you meet on a duck club are different. You don't really have that much contact with people on a public shooting ground.
True.
They give you a blind. You take the people that you're with to the blind, and it's kind of like combat duck hunting. I mean, you're placed on public shooting grounds, usually in an adversarial position. You're hunting against other hunters. Where on a duck club, you get to talk to people that have hunted all over the world, and that some of them know other places to go where you can actually have conversations about hunting. And in 1 year hunting on a duck club, you can probably cover 50 years of duck hunting from people that have hunted all over the world waterfowl. And our Sauvi's Island duck clubs, which there are a number, but not a lot of them have day memberships like we do, where you can get in and hunt with us, and you can kind of get the feel of what it's like to hunt with a lot of very, very sharp duck hunters, knowledgeable of all kinds of hunting and fishing and outdoor activity.
Now, Ron, Sauvi Island Duck Club, 300 acres. There's basically, I understand, 6 different areas you can hunt from on the 300 acres?
Right. 6 different shooting areas, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned before we went on the microphone that where you hunt kind of caters to your strengths and maybe to your dog's strengths as well.
Oh, definitely. We've got, if somebody cripples a bird, and a bird could go down a half a mile away, and the Sauvi's Island Duck Club is 1.25 miles long and about 400 yards thick. So we send people that are in good condition to go after those long falls. We hardly ever lose a bird. I can, just a handful of birds in a season that is October, November, December, January, and then we have the goose season that goes till March 10th usually. We like to get them in close. I mean, real close before we shoot. And but if they're going to fly high, maybe once in a while we'll shoot at a high one.
Let me ask you another question, Ron, and that would be, what kind of terrain are you hunting over? Are we talking flooded fields? Are we talking about, harvested fields? Or are we talking basically ponds?
Well, we hunt those that are young enough and able enough can get in and out of those layout blinds. You can hunt geese and ducks out of layout blinds on our place. We mostly have stand-up blinds where you stand up, you can bring a stool, and very few of them have seats because we're usually up on our feet either calling or shooting. And they're usually shoulder to shoulder for safety reasons. We don't shoot over anybody's heads. Our rules are very simple, and it kind of says it all. When you get in there, I'll tell you the rules in the dark in the morning, and they are no fist fights, gun fights, or dog fights, or any combination thereof. And that's simply the rules, and then you follow the rules that are printed out by the feds and the state. And no early shooting, no late shooting, no nothing, just what it says in there. And we usually have no reason to fudge, always have enough shooting.
We are starting to run short on time, but folks, if you want to find out more about the Sauvi's Island Duck Club, go to their website. It's siduckclub.com. They average about 2,000 ducks harvested per season there, primarily mallards, so if you've got a fix for greenheads, this is the place to go get that fix. And again, the website is siduckclub.com. That's siduckclub.com. If you live near Portland and you want to go hunting, this might be a great option for you. Ron, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
You betcha. Thank you.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. There's been a lot of talk about the low unemployment rate, but the fact of the matter is, many of you listening today are employed in one or maybe two or more low-paying part-time jobs, working like a dog to make ends meet with careers that offer little to no benefits. Perhaps you're working in retail. That's been the biggest market for job growth, but the problem is the pay is often minimum wage or close to it. If this is you, I don't blame you for being unhappy and wanting something more. What are you to do, though? College is expensive, and even with a degree, there's no assurance you're going to land a good job. There are skilled trades, though. If you're an electrician, a plumber, a heating and air conditioning technician like my brother is, or perhaps a welder, then you've got a skill that is very transferable and is always in demand, whether you are working for yourself or for a company that's going to pay you well and give you the benefits you need to take care of yourself and your family. Let's talk about a career as a welder. If you have that skill, you can land a good job in the outdoors industry. What am I talking about here? Well, how about a boat welder working at a port or for a boat manufacturer? Same thing goes for the RV industry. They need welders, just like boat manufacturers do, to make their products. And guess what? Both the RV industry and boat industry are very strong right now. So, how do you become a welder? Well, you need to go to a welding school and get certified as one. One company that offers this opportunity is Oxark. They are the welding and industrial supply company with 20 locations in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. They have 5-week courses for basic, intermediate, and advanced welding with schools in Pasco and Spokane, and classes start every week. The tuition is $3,000, which is very reasonable, considering the fact that you are investing in yourself and in a career that is not only rewarding, but secure and profitable too. Oxark's motto is simple: we teach welding, and they do so with lots of hands-on work that will help you get the qualifications you need. So, are you ready for a real career? If so, go to Oxark's website at oxark.com and look for the Welding School tab at the top of the front page. The website again, Oxark, spelled OXARC.com. Shifting gears, we got another fishing derby to tell you about. It's the NSIA 17th Annual Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge, taking place at the mouth of the Columbia River, August 18th and 19th. There's going to be thousands in cash and gear prizes given away. As a matter of fact, if you catch the biggest Chinook salmon, you'll take home the $1,000 Big Fish prize. Weigh-in this year will be at the Clatsop County Fairgrounds. Weigh-in closes at 5 p.m. There'll be a catered dinner to follow. All proceeds raised at the Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge go towards NSIA's mission of enhancing the region's sport fishing industry, increasing fishing opportunities for recreational anglers, and more. Find out more at nsiafishing.org. That's nsiafishing.org.
It's time for summer, and you need to be ready. So stop in at any Oxark store to find all of the summer supplies you need for your yard, home, farm, or business. Oxark has gloves, first aid kits, safety glasses, and even a full line of industrial tools. And don't forget, it's time for Gatorade and Igloo coolers. So this summer, be ready and stop by any Oxark or shop online at oxark.com.
At Tillamook Country Smoker, for 3 generations, we've made jerky with our hands and our hearts. We cut hardwood from the coastal forest. We blend the spices in every batch, following a family recipe. We feed the fire with real wood and stand watch until it's part of the beef. This is all natural, time-tested perfection in texture and flavor. You can taste the truth in every stick, every bag, and every bite. Tillamook Country Smoker. This is jerky done right.
Waterfowl season is quickly approaching, and the Sauvie Island Duck Club is the place to be. Just 10 miles northwest of Portland, Sauvie Island is a hub for wintering populations of ducks and geese, making it an ideal location for hunters. Sauvie Island Duck Club offers day, month, and year-long memberships, and they are open 7 days a week for all of your waterfowling needs. Spots are still open for fall, so contact them now for prices and reservations. Find out more at siduckclub.com. That's siduckclub.com.
Oregon Pack Works delivers high-performance hunting products that are made in America. Our all-weather line of modular hunting packs and Binobro binocular harnesses are used by hunters across the globe and known for the functional form, versatility, and ease of use. Our proprietary fabric used in our big game hunting products is waterproof, burr-proof, quiet, and rip-resistant. From day hunts to multi-day expeditions, Oregon Packworks has you covered. Find out more at OregonPackworks.com. That's OregonPackworks.com.
Come to Crystal Lake Resort. Come, enjoy the thrill of calling in a bull moose. The quiet of the remote wilderness. The pleasure of good food and new friends. It's more than just a moose hunt, it's a moose experience. Book your trout fishing and moose hunting trip now at CrystalLakeResortBC.com. That's CrystalLakeResortBC.com for your moose experience.
Row, row, row your boat, can't get up the stream. Fill your boat and motor needs at King Salmon Marine.
Are you ready for summertime fun? Have you been thinking about a new or used boat and motor? King Salmon Marine will fill all your boat and motor needs.
Row, row, row your boat to look for something new. 253-830-2962. Yay!
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time for Outdoors News, and this portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the magazine that covers the fishing, hunting, and outdoor scene throughout the great state of California. Look for it at a newsstand near you. It's been a rough month for livestock in the Northwest. From the Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee, we learned that on July 23rd, the Idaho Department of Fish and Game euthanized a 26-year-old adult male grizzly bear that was responsible for killing 7 sheep in 3 separate incidents in eastern Idaho, not too far from Island Park. The grizzly bear was originally trapped for scientific purposes 23 years ago and had not been known to have any human-related conflicts until this incident. Examination of the bear, once it was sedated, indicated that it had totally lost its upper teeth and its lower ones were also in very bad shape, explaining why it had turned to running down sheep. Because of the bear's physical condition and its recent behavior, it was euthanized. In Northeast Oregon, the removal of 4 wolves in Wallowa County this March hasn't stopped livestock killings. A pro-ranching group called Oregon Wolf Education says there have been 5 confirmed depredation acts from wolves, resulting in the death of 1 lamb, 2 goats, 1 sheep, 1 calf, and even a llama. The attacks took place in Wallowa, Umatilla, and Jackson counties in Northeast Oregon between April and the end of May. Meanwhile, in northeastern Washington, the Washington Ag Network reports the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife investigated 2 more calf carcasses last week, calling one a confirmed wolf depredation by the Profanity Peak Wolf Pack and the other probable. Executive Vice President of the Washington Cattlemen's Association, Jack Field, said the attack is not a surprise, since there has been problems in the past. Field noted that many of the ranchers in northeastern Washington have had pretty substantial losses, with 3 confirmed and 3 probable kills of calves due to the Profanity Peak Pack this year. Jack Field sums up the feelings of a lot of ranchers when it comes to protected top-tier predators, saying it's not fair for anybody to have to bear the burden of species recoveries. And now, it's time to find out who's walking our Trail of Shame.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
This week's inductees on our Trail of Shame are the dozens of individuals in Crater Lake National Park found with 234 pounds of, no, not marijuana, and no, not drugs, but instead, morel mushrooms. It's illegal to harvest mushrooms in national parks, but that didn't keep these desperados from trying to do so. What is their motivation? Well, it might be greed. These mushrooms were worth at least $8,000. National Park Service rangers worked with other law enforcement agencies to cite these individuals and seize all of their fungi booty. The suspects face fines of up to $5,000 and possible jail time, too. Our national parks are known for their pristine environments. Taking resources away from them takes away from that. And that is why all of you mushroom bandits are walking this week's Trail of Shame.
Shame on you.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, have you ever considered buying a boat for saltwater fishing? Whether you're going to be fishing off the coast of California or Oregon or maybe in Puget Sound or the Inside Passage, there's certain things you'll want to know if you've never bought a boat before. That's why we've got Kelly Hawley on the line with Tom and Jerry's Boat Center out of Mount Vernon, Washington. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
So, Kelly, first things first, when it's a big ocean out there, what's the minimum size boat somebody ought to have if they're going to be playing on the saltwater?
Well, it just depends on where you're at, what you're going to do with it, whether you're just going to be using it for crabbing or if you're a year-round fisherman. Our most popular boat are the 21, 22-foot size boats. Those seem to be running the market fairly consistently over the last few years. Although, there's been a trend for the bigger boats, 26, 27s. We've been doing a lot of 30-footers lately, the big aluminum boats. People are doing more things with them than just fishing. They're doing a lot of exploring and stuff out in the islands, so I think there's a draw for that. But, for the casual fisherman, an 18-foot might work just fantastic for them.
Mount Vernon, for those of our listeners who don't know, it's located near Puget Sound in northwest Washington. An 18-footer, though, is that really something you want to be heading out to the tuna grounds with off the California-Oregon coast?
No, if I was going to do that, and even when you get down to the Washington coast, because we're pretty much right in the San Juan Islands right here, we're right at the beginning, so there's a lot of protected waters. We're not out in the ocean. But for the people that are going out in the ocean, and we do a lot of business up in Alaska too, those people are typically getting the bigger boats. They're 24, 26-footers traditionally, and again, sometimes up to the 28 and 30-footers. But if I'm going to do an offshore trip, I'm going to want something that's pretty good size. A lot of offshore people, they want twin motors instead of a single motor and a kicker, because they may be going 40, 50 miles out for tuna, so they want to make sure that they can get back without having to be towed.
Absolutely. So next question here, aluminum versus fiberglass, what are the pros and cons of either one?
Oh, the magic question, yeah. Well, the nice thing about aluminum, and aluminum the last few years has just taken off. Matter of fact, the top 5 boats in what we call the Northwest here, it's a pretty good sized area. The top 5 boats are actually aluminum boats, believe it or not.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and that's switched from, a few years ago when it was fiberglass boats. But I think one of the nice things about the aluminum boats is the durability. They're a little bit easier to take care of than the glass boats. You can get them dirty. They don't look as dirty as a glass boat does typically with all that pretty white on it.
Sure.
And just the sheer strength of the aluminum over the fiberglass is a big plus. Some of these aluminum companies, they market these boats as a lifetime boat, not just a boat you're going to have for a few years. And on the other side of the coin there, the fiberglass is a beautiful looking boat. There's still a good market, especially in that 26 to 28 foot range in the fiberglass. And they're a little bit heavier boats, so traditionally compared to some aluminum boats, the ride might be a little bit nicer. And, in all honesty, a lot of women like the way that the glass boats are trimmed out, the lipstick that they put on them. It's a little bit more appealing to the other buyer that's maybe not that hardcore fisher person, but that person that's just out cruising around. They like the comfort.
Last but not least, let's talk about amenities that you just have to have when you're going to go ahead and get a boat.
Well, when we sell a boat here, typically they have 2 motors. They're going to have either twins or they're going to have a main motor and they're going to have a kicker motor. And if you're going out in the salt water where you're dealing with winds and tide, you want that backup. The motors that they build today are fantastic motors. The lifetime is a lot better than what they used to be. The dependability is outstanding, but you have to remember things still break. There's things floating out in the sound. You could hit something with a prop. If you don't have a backup, then you could be in trouble. So that's one important thing. And of course, along with that, you need some kind of communication. You need a VHF radio. I wouldn't go out without some kind of communication so you can call the Coast Guard or somebody if you do get into a bind. And then, everything else from there is pretty much not necessity stuff. If you're going to be fishing, downriggers, fish finders, GPS. A lot of people have the GPS on these newer ones, but you can spend a lot of money on options if you really want to.
Oh, yes, you can. So, last but not least, I know that you sell both Hughescraft and Kingfisher boats at Tom and Jerry's Boat Center, both very reputable lines. What's a website so people can find out more and check out the product line, so to speak, and maybe pay you a visit in Mount Vernon?
Yeah, hey, that would be great because those Kingfishers and Hughescrafts, those are 2 of the top name brands in aluminum. Kingfisher is actually built in British Columbia, and it's a huge name up there, and of course Hughescraft down here, so we got 2 of the top lines. You can go to our website at tomandjerrys.net and take a look at a pretty wide variety of boats. We have over 70 boats in stock. pretty good selection of everything.
Well, there you go. The website again, folks, is tomnjerrys.net. That's tomnjerrys.net. Check it out. And again, head on up to Mount Vernon if you're in the area and drop by Tom and Jerry's Boat Center and check out the Hughes Craft and Kingfisher boats they have there. Kelly, thanks for all the advice that you're sharing with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's all for this week. If you get a chance, go to our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio. Like us, follow us. We're always posting pictures and information there. And check out our website, too. It's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You'll find a recent podcast of our show. You'll find information about the show and stations and airtimes. Another place to catch our show is on an internet station. It's WRVO Radio. You'll find it at RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's home to all sorts of outdoors programming that plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That site again is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. The mountains are calling, and so are the lakes, the rivers, streams, and ocean this summer. So get out there and enjoy it. May God bless you today, and remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
With us this week is Max Pro Guide Bruce Warren. Bruce, we've been fishing the Columbia River, and I understand you've been using smile blades while hover fishing to get fish in the boat.
You bet. Smile blades will add an extra flash to your bait. They'll add a little extra color to your bait, and you can change them up real quick, real easy to maybe get something that'll get those fish to going.
Let's go ahead and talk about hover fishing. Exactly how does that work? Go ahead and describe the setup and the technique.
Well, first of all, you need a fairly good rod, not too long, about 8 feet, with a fairly light tip and a little bit of backbone to it. 10 to 20 pound test works great. Put on that a chunk of 2-ounce lead. Cannonballs are my favorite because they don't hang up too bad. And you only need about 2, maybe 3 feet a leader. Again, about 20 pound test. Tie on between a 1/0 and probably a 3/0 hook. Your favorite beta eggs, and of course don't forget that Max Smile blade on there. Drop it down to the bottom, reel up 2 to 3 cranks, and watch that rod tip. That's the key.
Now, in hover fishing, you're not jigging, you're not moving it, you're just waiting for that fish to bite, and it's a really light bite, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very light bite. That's why you need a rod with a sensitive tip. You'll see that rod dip a little bit, maybe bump a little bit, but boy, not very much.
And the other key when it comes to hover fishing is I've always been trained, especially with the Chinook salmon. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, let them eat it. But that's not the case with hover fishing, is it?
No, it's not. You see that rod dip just a little bit, set it. Set it hard. You never know. It might be a sturgeon, but hopefully, and most of the time, it's a nice big Chinook.
Well, there you go, folks. Hover fishing demystified, and don't forget that Smile blade. It's a patented product from Max Lure Company. That's going to wrap up this Max Minute, but before we go, let's give people your website and a phone number so they can maybe book a trip with you.
You bet. My name is Bruce Warren at fishingforfunguideservice.com, and my phone number is 253-208-7433, and you can reach us on the web, too.
That's fishingforfunguideservice.com. Go ahead and book a trip with Bruce Warren. Great guy to spend a day with on a boat and to catch fish with, too. Want to go on a charter with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So, whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.